All right. You are listening to Softcore Detachment, the podcast where soft hearts grow sharp boundaries and healing gets gloriously unhinged. I'm your host, Catalina, recovering perfectionist, certified chaos gremlin, and softcore CEO of Emotional Detachment. With me is Jonnie, producer, partner in crime, defender of boundaries, and professional glow-up baddie.
I'm her. She's me.
Fabulous. Looking beautiful. All right. Hey, let's get messy.
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, I am so excited about this episode because this needs to be talked about, and I'm excited to do it in this space. Today, we are talking about GLP-1s. If nobody knows what that means, because I had to look it up, I don't know what a GLP-1 means. It is a glucagon-like peptide 1. That's a mouthful. What do you think about that, Jonnie?
I love it. I'm not going to say quite yet if I have experience or not. We'll get into that. But I did just down a half a box of hot and spicy Cheez-Its. So I'm really glad we're talking about this today.
So it's a good time.
Some food guilt going on as we speak.
Okay, good time to talk about this. So if you're thinking about it, or if you've been on a GLP-1, if you have some questions about it, maybe now's a great time to tune in because we're going to do a deep dive. We're going to talk about the science behind it. And we're also going to talk about my personal experience with the GLP-1 because I have been there. I have done that, and I will deep dive into my own personal experience. It taught me a lot about my body, my own issues with food, and how easy it is to kind of lose sight of what the big picture is. At the end of the day, though, I still, it is all classic, just the same old thing. At the end of the day, if you don't change your habits, you're going to be right back in the same wheel, spinning away, and nothing's really going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I cannot wait to dive more into specifically that because I'll give it away. I do have experience with GLP-1. However, I think if you're not careful, let's get into this piece a little bit later on, it can be abused.
Big time. Big time. And
It's
I think
easily abused because of what results you might get on it.
Exactly. Super easily abused. If you don't have a good relationship with food, if you don't understand how to moderate your protein, how to keep your muscle mass healthy, and if you don't know how to come off of it safely, there are just so many ways that it can go wrong and that it can be abused. So that's a good call. I'm interested.
You know what, though? I think the average person, to be honest, is the dream is eat whatever I want and look good and not gain weight.
The magic pill, right?
Yes,
the Emerald City. We just want the quick fix.
Could lean in that direction if you are not careful. So let's caveat that we are not doctors. We are not nurse practitioners. We are not prescribers.
Yes.
And we simply are sitting here talking today about our experience with some science-backed data here. And
Absolutely.
What you could
that's such a good point. And this is also coming at it from the perspective of a coach, how I talk to my clients about, training people who are on a GLP-1, how I coach them from the nutritionist standpoint. So in addition to from our own perspective, from the research that I've done as a coach and from the nutritionist as well. So that's where we're coming at this. Okay.
And I'm just your friend.
So let's dive in.
It's
a hormone that's released after meals, glucagon-like peptide 1. It slows gastric emptying, which means it makes the digestive process just slow down quite a bit, suppresses appetite, enhances insulin secretion. So there are kind of 3 classes that we got going on right now. We have Semaglutide, which is the original. That was the classic Ozempic and Wegovy. A lot of side effects with this that people found. It's really important that you ease into this one. No matter what you're doing, follow your doctor's advice and go nice and slow. I started out with this one personally, and it was too much for me as far as the side effects go. This one was not quite right for me. The second tier is Tirzepatide. This is going to be your Mounjaro or your Zepbound. In this tier, they found that the side effects were a little bit less, and they did a lot better as far as suppressing appetite, insulin resistance. It was just kind of like the 2.0 version of semaglutide. They worked out a lot of the kinks as far as the side effects. People report having a much easier time. Now, there's going to be a third class that's coming out. They're already working on it. It's almost through FDA approval. And the name brand, I believe, is liraglutide, retatrutide. It's going to be just the next class. And that one is going to be available probably within this next year. And it is going to be kind of just the top of the pops. That one is going to be the best at least amount of side effects, highest effects as far as keeping the appetite suppressed. And even a lot of folks are reporting that you quiet the psychological effects of food addiction. So that food noise that people experience, as far as if you've had a lifetime of going back and forth between food addiction, this quiets that down. And that was my personal experience. And so I think that it's interesting to report that there's going to be a lot of good things in the future when it comes to this. So we're going to talk about some clinical trials. I will have everything copied down in the show notes as far as all the clinical trials that we talk about here, okay? So, for example, Wilding et al. Note that clinical trials show average weight loss of 10 to 20% of body weight in the first 6 to 12 months, which is much more than you would get with just lifestyle changes alone. However, it makes a huge difference to note that you still have to make those lifestyle changes. Kind of what we just talked about, Joni. You can't just do a free-for-all of eating, give yourself a shot or go into the clinic and get a shot every week and hope for the best.
How lovely would it be, right? It's the holiday season. I want to
Yeah.
eat it all right. And then just, oh, it's okay. I'm New Year's. I'll just give myself a shot and shed 10 pounds, be rocking and rolling.
It's just going to melt
In
the
theory,
fat
sure.
and it's going to undo all the damage I just did. And, again, Emerald City, it's going to be great, but that's
And
not
in
the
theory,
case.
sure,
This is
but
a tool.
what you are trying to avoid here is making that habit and becoming, getting some sort of addiction going on an unhealthy habit of eat, gain 10 pounds back, give yourselves a few shots for a month, and then you lost it. And then there you go. Your brain has figured out risk and reward, and you figured out how to fix it.
100%. Yeah. So well said. At the end of the day, this is a tool and it should be utilized as such, just like anything else. It reminds me of like a lot of people who report that, they had some kind of a weight loss surgery. They lost a bunch of the weight and then they went right back to the lifestyle that they were doing that led to that weight gain in the first place, and they gained all the weight back again.
Yeah.
Or the classic yo-yo dieting type experience that people have, where they have tons of success using this, whatever it could have been, Weight Watchers, keto, any kind of, program that they may have utilized. And then they fall off the wagon. They go right back to the same sorts of behavior that got them into trouble in the first place. This isn't a magic, sort of tool. It's still just a tool. You have to develop the strategies and the habits that's going to keep it going long after you're done.
Your
Okay?
tool is only as good as long as you know how to use it.
Very well
Really.
said.
Yeah.
Very well said. Yep, absolutely. So my experience, I feel like I was in a you see Bronx back here? See
No.
this?
Oh,
Look at this guy.
yeah.
He's so cute. He's such a boy. So I started in November of last year. Like I said, I started with Ozempic, and my personal reasons were myriad. I had a lot of different reasons for going on a GLP-1, and I can get into those. Last year, I gained about 30 pounds, combination of different factors, starting perimenopause, being on a mood stabilizer for the first time in my life, and one of the common side effects is weight gain. So put all that together and I was about 30 pounds heavier than what I was used to, and it happened super fast. I went through all the things that I know how to do. I'm a personal trainer, I know what I'm doing, and my body was just not responding. And so I talked about it, with my team. I talked about it with my family, and I decided to go on a GLP-1. So started with Ozempic. And like I said, the side effects, it was just not happening. Even starting slow and easing my way into it, it was not right for my body.
Were you
So I
sick?
tried the next, super sick.
So
Yeah,
sick?
I was
Were you
I was
tired?
nauseous all the time,
Mhm.
just super nauseous to the point that I could not eat. And
Ugh.
so that was not going to be safe, right? And it's like, yeah, you're going to lose a lot of weight if you're only eating about 500 or 800 calories a day, not safe. And so went on to the next tier, and that was much better for me. Noticeable difference. I was able to eat more, but still, like the amount, I was what we call a hyper responder. And
Okay.
so my body was burning fat at all times and cut the appetite like gone. I was not hungry ever. And
Mhm.
so I had to force myself to eat, always start with protein, do anything I could to make sure that I was getting enough calories throughout the day.
Mhm.
Um, as you know, preserving muscle mass is really important for me. Like it's kind of like a, like this is what I got going on. Like I love lifting, I love being strong. I built this body and I want to make sure I maintain muscle mass. When
Yeah.
you lose that much weight really fast, all of the studies are showing that you're losing equal amounts of fat and muscle.
Mhm.
Okay, so even though you're losing weight, you have got to ensure that you're not going to bite yourself in the butt on the other end by, your metabolism slowing down because you also lost a bunch of muscle mass.
Mhm.
And so I didn't start losing muscle mass until the very end. And that's where I was like, okay, so we need to look at what we're doing here. We need to make some adjustments. And I made sure to slow things down and go into kind of like a maintenance mode.
Mhm.
Tapered off, my hunger came back. I started easing back my calories, back up. So
Mhm.
bringing them back up again, nice and slow, focusing on protein. And I am now actually just completely off of it. I didn't really taper back up too fast. Um, I went to that, slow and steady for a couple of months and then I was done.
When's the last time you took a GLP-1?
Oh man, it's been a long time, like months.
So so a while.
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
was done in March, and I think I did, like, another quick little shot in, like, sometime in summer,
Okay.
and that was, just, like, I saw the scale creeping back up, and I just wanted to get, like, just a quick handle on what was going on. I was having some issues with, mental health and different things like
Mhm.
that, and it was silly because it was one of those things where you know how women are, like, around our cycle, and weight can go up, like, 5 or 6, 7 pounds, and then it'll come right back off again, and I just got into my own head. And
Yeah,
so
and
I
then
thought,
you're like
okay, like,
you're if you're like PMSing, right? And you're eating all this food, nothing is
yep,
fulfilled satisfying you. You have the appetite, you could literally eat a horse, and that GLP-1 will turn that off, right? You just
yep, yep, exactly. Like, you
so
don't get that
it's
typical
effective.
cravings, you don't get bloated,
Mm-mm.
like, you maintain your weight all month, and it's just, like, so different and so lovely, and then, you turn around, you come off it, and then you do fluctuate, and that's really nice. It's normal, but it took a while to get back used to that and just kind of accept that. And so it's been a long time and I'm still maintaining and I feel like really good about that. But it's because you have the tools. Like,
Mhm.
you still moderate your eating and you make adjustments and you eat enough protein and you exercise and you lift. Like you have to put into practice all those things that you normally do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was my experience. All right, what do you got
Mine's
for
a
us?
little different. So
What do you got?
it took me a long time to find a provider to even allow me to try it because number one, I'm not considered on the scale as far as BMI goes obese to meet criteria. And
Mhm.
now this has changed a little bit from my personal experiences. It used to be, I guess you would call it heavily monitored. You had to be, your BMI had to be unhealthy or at a certain number according
Right.
to the BMI index. I guess it would be index, but then, and if it wasn't and it was under, or green, normal, if they consider it normal, you're not getting it. Doesn't matter. However, I found as a little bit of time passed and the availability became a little bit easier. And if you're willing to pay, you'll find a prescriber that will allow you to do something called microdosing.
Yes. Love
Hmm.
that.
And
Okay.
so I did not quite qualify, so to speak. It's just to go on regular prescription, I guess, increments. I don't know how it's to say it. I have never worked in
So like
pharmaceuticals.
dosing.
Dosing. Yeah. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so for dosing, it was outside of the normal amount. So I have tried semaglutide only. I've never
Mhm.
tried anything other than than semaglutide. And it was always prescribed to me at a microdosing dose for X amount of time.
Mhm.
Um, and they're smaller doses, obviously, and they're meant to be slightly less effective. And that 10 to 20% that we're talking about, I think, shifts to the left a little bit. As
Yeah.
far as you're not going to lose that much. But my problem wasn't the number, it's the food noise and the stress eating and what it was doing to my life. I was
Yes.
in a period of extreme stress and depression and anxiety, and I was suffering, and food was my fix-all.
Right. Yeah.
And not only was my body changing a little bit, which was fine, it was making me sick physically. So my autoimmune, I do have an autoimmune condition, and I was completely inflamed on the inside from the foods I was eating. And I tried to change it. I really did. And things just were so stressful. I just was not strong enough to get a handle on it. So I got into the microdosing for maybe 6 months ish, on and off. I did not follow it as intended. I would microdose for a little bit, feel really good, stop, and then if things ramped up again, I got approved to microdose again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's really interesting, and it speaks to like how you can use these tools on such a huge spectrum, right? For lots of different things. And I know that they're really looking into it and researching it for women who are perimenopausal and menopausal, as far as trying to help a lot of those symptoms, just as you're describing. For the inflammation for women with PCOS and a lot of different things like that, just microdosing, not for huge, massive amount of weight loss, not for diabetes help or maintenance or anything like that, but for all these different myriad of issues
Mhm.
where, we can see it making a huge difference, where 5, 10, or even 15 pounds. And, sometimes it's just impossible. It's not going to happen on its own. And this little tool can be the make or break it. It can make such a huge difference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Thank you for
I think
sharing that.
one of my biggest, I guess, questions for you as being a trainer and having nutrition-backed education, as well as having the experience on a GLP-1, what is, I guess we will call it, the muscle problem?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you asked, because I really want to dig into that. It's huge. So, first of all, one of the things that happens, like as soon as you pretty much start and you find that dose, the dose where for people who are doing the higher dose, not the microdosing, but those
Mhm.
higher doses where they're trying to lose weight, is oftentimes they cut their calories down like below 1,000 calories. It's really hard to eat when you have no appetite, you don't have the food noise, and you're a little bit nauseous. So you put all those things together, and the amount of food that you're eating drops significantly.
Mhm.
When that happens, what researchers found is the amount of body weight that you're losing is not just fat. Rubino et al. In their study in 2022 found that 39% of total body weight loss was lean tissue. That means muscle.
Mhm.
And so the problem with that is, yes, the scale is dropping and you are losing weight, but we know that when you lose lean muscle, your metabolism suffers as well. And so
Mhm.
your metabolism slows down. And though you're going to continue to lose weight because you're on a medication that kind of forces that to happen, when it's time to come off that medication, you're going to be in trouble. It's going to be really hard to regulate your metabolism, to grow muscle, and to maintain your weight loss. On the other end, your body's going to go into that adaptive mode, and it's going to fight like heck to try and gain some of that weight back. It's
Mhm.
basic evolutionary science. Something traumatic just happened to you, and your body's going to try and fight to get you healthy again. A
Okay.
rapid weight loss is seen as trauma to the body. Something must be wrong, right? And so,
Mhm.
as soon as you take that medication out of the equation, your body's going to fight to get you healthy again. So the
Okay.
best thing that you can do is prioritize protein. I know, trust me, that like you get 3 or 4 bites into your meal and then you're like, ugh, I cannot take another bite. Like you have this whole idea in your head, like I haven't eaten all morning. I haven't eaten, it's like past lunch. I can't wait to eat. And you create this meal and it's gorgeous. And you get 3 bites in and you're like, ugh, I couldn't possibly. So
Because protein works. It does fill you. It's nutrition.
100%, and that's what you need. Like, that's where the preservation of
Yeah.
muscle, like, is just huge. And
Uh-huh.
so I always advise people, and I learned this myself as well through that process, always start with the protein on your plate. No matter what you just
Okay.
created, eat the protein first. Because
Okay.
then as you're full, because of that slowing of the gastric emptying, at least you got your protein in. And then
Mhm.
if you've got a little room, go for what else you created. Go for what else is on your plate, but always start with protein first. And then, for goodness sake, you need to be lifting some weights. You've got to give your body some resistance to push back against, to give your muscles a chance,
Okay.
right? And so resistance training and protein can preserve that lean muscle mass.
Okay,
We
that's
know
what I
that
was
from
gonna ask you.
experience, and it's been proven in the science as well. That one is a study by Morton et al. Back in 2018. So, like, this is not new. Like, we've known this for a while.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So, your strength is going to plateau or even regress. And it's going to be such a bummer because that affects your metabolism. It affects the look too. Like, I know that you've seen this. People who have been on Ozempic or any of the other GLP-1s have that weird, like, sunken in kind of thing going on. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like, it's all over Hollywood. And what'll happen is a lot of those folks didn't lift weights to begin with. They didn't know nutrition. They didn't understand how to take care of their bodies. So there was nothing there to really grab onto. There was nothing there to fill out their bodies. They just lost tons and tons of weight. And it doesn't look healthy. It doesn't look okay. And I'm sorry, that's my own judgment talking like I know, but at the end of the day, you need something. Like, your body's got to have
Yeah.
something to hold on to.
So
And
it's like it was used to get into a bathing suit
yes,
and feel
yes,
confident.
100%. And I hear people all the time say, I lost all this weight and I still don't feel good. And it's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not always about the number on the scale. It
Mhm.
really isn't.
Yeah.
Um, Muscle plays an important part of it.
Mhm.
It just does.
Absolutely. You
Fat
know,
loss
it's
without muscle preservation isn't exactly success.
right? It's a slower metabolism wearing smaller jeans or a better bikini. I don't know.
100%. But I'm in the size 2 now, and it's like, yeah, you are. Yeah,
And
you
nothing else
are.
in my closet fits.
Yep, exactly, and it just kinda hangs off you, and it just doesn't feel good. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
you've
what
got
happens afterward? That's the next
I've
question.
heard of people losing hair if it's, not done under
Mhm.
strict medical supervision and done correctly, medically correctly. If that's even a term, but it
Yeah,
it's I mean, you can experience not only yeah, I get it, food aversion, that's the goal. Great.
great.
However, hair loss. Some people I've seen on reports had massive skin flare-ups with acne and it scarred their face. So
Yep.
you just have to be, work with your doctor or your nurse practitioner or whoever your prescriber is very, very closely.
Big time. Yeah, because the reality is, like, food isn't bad, right? Like, it's super important for our bodies. We just need to be eating the correct food in the
Hmm.
correct portions.
Oh yeah.
And that got away from a lot of us, especially in America, right? Fast
Hmm.
food and saturated fats and sugar. Like, we all know, we get it. We know what we're supposed to eat. It's
Yeah.
just we eat too much of it and
Hmm.
we eat the wrong things. And
Yeah.
so
And it's
I think
easy.
it's so easy and it's so fast and it's cheap, right? I think
Yeah.
that GLP-1s can do wonders as far as helping get a hold of those bad habits, but they've got to transition into good habits.
Mhm.
That's the
Mhm.
difference.
So, I would say my next question for you, since you have been on I guess you call it a routine dosing of a GLP-1, tapering off and maintaining results, is it more say I don't have that experience because I microdose, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Is there a gradual dose reduction just like there's a gradual dose, increase when you
Yeah.
first start? Is it the same way going off, or is it like
It
a lot
should
of
be.
medications, if you stop cold turkey, you're gonna have some bad side effects?
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it should be. If your practitioner knows what they're doing and if you're doing everything correctly, you should taper down to a maintenance dose
Mhm.
for upwards of months or even a couple of years.
Mhm.
And during that time is a great time to practice the habits that are going to be necessary for long-term maintenance. Because the reality is that same study, Rubino et al., found that 1 in 5 participants only 1 in 5 have maintained their weight loss. That's less than 10%. The rest of them gained the weight back and often rebounded with a little bit more.
Oh,
after they
wow.
discontinued. So
Yeah.
during that time, you go down to like your microdosing levels, just like you were talking about. You
Mhm.
keep the food noise out of your head. You get a little help. You get that little bit of a bump. And that's a great time to practice those skills you're going to need to maintain for life because that's the goal at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Appetite and weight rebound because, again, your body kind of went through a little bit of a trauma. Your GLP-1 levels are normalizing, the metabolism adapts, but the behaviors never changed. At
Mhm.
the end of the day, you still would be doing the same things you were doing otherwise.
Yeah.
So you pair that reduction in the medicine with weight training, with good habits, with tracking protein. Slowly start increasing your calories, nice and easy. Let your body get used to this new normal. You know, I think I lost a total of about 35 pounds. So it wasn't insane. But for people who lose like 100 pounds over a year, that is traumatic for the body. It's going
Okay.
to scramble and fight to try and get back to where it was. So you've got to take time to let it get used to where it's at now. And you'll have a much better chance of maintaining these results, for the long term.
Oh, yeah.
Make
Yeah,
sense?
so it's changing that mindset, changing the behavior, and utilizing the tool appropriately.
Bingo. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. And, slowly increasing the calories. It's like those folks, who do like super drastic diets before, and we talked about this before summer, for bikini season, or because there's a wedding coming up or a big party and they want to look great in the dress, and they'll drop 10, 15, 20 pounds really, really fast. And then it's just super classic. You fall off the wagon and you want to eat everything in sight. Your hunger is through the roof. Your mind can't stop thinking about anything except food. The same sort of thing is going to happen. Those behaviors didn't really change. You were just super uber disciplined for that one thing that you had, in the back of your head.
Mhm.
Same sort of thing. And so, at the end of the day, again, we've said it over and over, this is just a tool. And if
Mhm.
used properly, it can be a life-changing tool.
Mhm.
We're coming up on a year now, and I've maintained my weight loss. I still struggle in my head. I still hear that voice. For the longest time, shopping for clothes was so hard. I'd be buying size large and extra large over the internet, and they'd get here and I'd try them on, and I'm like, what? This is silly. Like, I'm swimming in this, you know?
Mm.
And, the guys at the gym and my family would be like, That's not the right size anymore." But in my head, it was such a fast shift and it was such a drastic shift for me that my head hadn't caught up yet with what had happened.
Mhm.
And so there's a huge psychological component to it as well. The mindset, the behavior change, all of it really, really comes to play. Getting therapy while you're doing this may be a great idea as well. If this
Okay.
is something you're doing because of, food addiction and because of long-term weight struggles, go to therapy while you're on a GLP-1. It'll make a huge difference.
Oh, yeah,
Highly
that's
recommend.
super. Therapy anyways, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Works for us. We love it. Go to therapy.
I'm doing
Love it.
good today.
Yeah, exactly. Doing good today. Yeah.
So if you
Yeah, it's
had,
all
like
about the habits and it's all
it's
about,
so
just that
yeah,
that mindset. You're in this for life. Tortoise and the hare, right? We all know
got
the
it.
fable. We want to
Uh-huh.
be the hare. Yeah, we want to be the
Yeah.
tortoise.
If you had to give me, like, what I would call coach takeaways for a GLP-1, what would they be?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay. So, we all have our triggers. We all have those things that we know are going to make us want to seek a dopamine hit.
Mhm.
Fighting with the spouse, somebody says something to you that triggers your insecurities.
Someone cheats on you.
There's going to be something that's going to make you want to get that hit. And we all know that food is a good dopamine hit. It feels great. So you're going to go for the piece of chocolate. You're going to go for the bag of chips. You're going to do something that's going to still make you want to stress eat.
Yeah.
Address that. You need to find ways to relieve stress that don't revolve around food. And
Mhm.
I think that's just good advice for people in general, because especially when you're on a GLP-1 and coming off of it, that's going to just keep happening. That's going to be a negative feedback cycle that'll get you right back to where you started before you went on your big dose.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
If you gain weight again, if you find yourself getting back into that same mindset, and again, I have been there. It felt overwhelming. You start feeling like a failure or like all the time and effort and energy that you put in was for nothing.
Mhm.
You're a biological creature. Think about everything that goes into it. The hundreds of thousands of years, the millennia of biology, all the cells in your body. It's all working together to try and keep you alive and keep you healthy and trick you. You know, you have all the anxiety, you have all these things working into it. So be nicer to yourself, be gentle, pause, take a breath, and really look at the bigger issue. The weight gain, a couple of pounds, 5 or 10 pounds, is still doable. You can still work with that. If it really starts getting away with you, talk to your doctor, talk to your coach, talk to your therapist, and you can make a change. You can get back on track and do what you need to do. You're not
Mhm.
a failure. You're a constant work in progress.
Mhm.
Okay? And you
Yeah.
still have time. And for goodness sake, strength training, protein. Like, we don't say these things to hear ourselves say it. There's the secret. I can get myself out of the job right now. There it is. I will never have work again if y'all just do this consistently. It's over. It's done. Strength train and eat your dang protein.
There you
I
go.
know. Like, it's simple, but it's difficult. And I get that, but you just got to be consistent with it. Your
Uh-huh.
muscles need something to push against, and then your muscles need something to build with. There's resistance training, and there's your protein. Okay, it's non negotiable.
Okay.
Simple as that.
And
All
don't be
right,
mean to my friend. So do not talk bad about yourself, right? You'll tell me that
absolutely.
all the time when I say, "Oh, I can't believe I did that. I'm so stupid." I say that a lot, and my
And
coach
what do I
here
say to
says,
you?
"You say, 'Don't talk about my friend that way.'"
That's right. Yeah, and that was great from our episode with Chloe as well, is you are the voice in your head. You live with yourself 24/7. Be nicer to yourself.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and anything is possible. You stick with it. A friend of mine recently posted his results of 100-pound weight loss over the course of the last couple years,
Mhm.
and the first 75 pounds were diet and exercise alone. That was just
Wow.
raw determination, counting calories, keeping protein high, and exercising consistently for years. It didn't just happen. And then the last 25 were with the help of a GLP-1. So the first 75 were all him. I mean, it works. You've got to be committed. And what's interesting, what I loved, what used to crack me up is people would be like, "Man, you're looking so good. You made so much progress. What's your secret?" And he goes, "I weigh and measure and count every piece of food that I eat. And I exercise 5 times a week." And you could see them shut down. They're like, "Oh, that's hard. I'm not going to do that." They wanted the pill. They wanted the shot. They wanted something fantastical that would make it easy for them. But the truth is it's not easy. It's hard. It takes
Yeah.
work and
Yeah.
commitment, you know?
Yeah.
And he did that. It was really cool. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, if you want to use this tool, it's a wonderful tool, but that's all it is. And like you said, Joni, it's only as good as the person using it. Use the knowledge and be dedicated to yourself and to those results. You've got to build a new normal. Your habits and not your hormones are in charge. Okay. Hormones fluctuate, but your habits have got to be consistent. And one of the things that I had to talk myself through as well is when I utilized this tool, I didn't cheat.
Okay.
Welcome to 2025.
Mhm.
This is the future. There are options available to us. The technology changes, and this is what we have available to us. And I would like to be super transparent about all those things with you so that when clients see my results, I don't just say, "Well, it was hard work and dedication, and I ate a lot of chicken and broccoli and rice, and I work out." Yes, I do those things, and I utilized a GLP-1
Okay.
and I use peptides. You know, I want to be really transparent with you guys so that you see my results and know what went into it.
Mhm.
I want to be honest with y'all. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, I think that I know this sounds silly, but I know that we both journal. I think that journaling is super important. Like, whether you're writing things down in your phone, typing it out on a computer, or actually writing it down on paper, like somebody born in the 1900s, um,
That's me.
Rem exactly, right? Remember your why. It's just super important to keep connected to that reasoning behind it and remember your why. And so
Okay.
have that mindset really solid in your head. And yeah. And if you need help and if you want to reach out and chat with me or, talk to Joni, we're here. Hit us up in the DMs and shoot us a comment and let us know what your experience was like. Or if you have any questions and you want to do that in private, just shoot us a direct message and we'll chat with you about it. But like we said, we're going to link all of the references down in the show notes so you can look at any of these studies and check them out in more detail. And this was our experience with GLP-1s and our advice for anybody who's on them, tapering off, or is curious about it. Anything you want to add, Joni?
No, it's really insightful because again, my experience is limited to microdosing and not from a coach perspective, not from a nutrition perspective. It's strictly I was having a lot of stress, I had a lot of food noise, I was feeling weighed down by food and the constant need to eat and was getting no satisfaction and I just needed something and finally I got microdosed. So,
Yeah.
um
And
that's
I'm
the
really glad that
extent
you
of my
shared that perspective
experience.
too, because again, I think that there's going to be a much wider range of how these, compounds are used for men and women, but especially I think with women in perimenopause. I think that there
Mhm.
is going to be a lot more microdosing to help women lock in the physique that they are going to want to take with them into menopause.
Oh, yeah.
Because once you get that far, it's much harder to make changes.
Yeah.
Making those changes in perimenopause is super important because the further you get, the harder it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fabulous. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. As always, we appreciate you. Bronx appreciates you. He's glad you're here. We love you. And we got some wonderful episodes lined up. So stay tuned. And as always, thank you so much. Stay soft, stay sharp, and use the tools that you have available without having to explain yourself or feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Okay? And as always, hey, we love you and all your light and darkness.